Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? I appreciate you guys for tapping into me this evening. It's probably been a couple weeks, been a little busy, but we are coming back with giving you guys tons of information. I will be talking a little later on today too about the student loan forgiveness that my man Biden, I was about to say Obama, my man Biden is putting together for us. So definitely stay tuned. I'll have another video this evening for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. But we have a special training today as I'm teaching all of this government contracting information and all of this information to help you become better at your finances and building business, but most importantly, gaining time back in your life. I want you to pass this information down, right? Don't just hoard it. Don't just make all this money for yourself and don't have anybody to share it with. So today we have a special guest, Bolanle, who will be teaching us about how to be more effective communicating parents. Yes, I'm not a parent yet, but I do plan to be one. And I ran across her, and it was some very interesting information. I've never seen a parent manual out here, right? My parents never, I remember my parents freestyling this thing called life. And as I watch my friends and peers around me, they're freestyling parenthood too. And they have some young adults. But we have a special guest again that actually has some parameters. Yeah, parameters, just like you running your business and you learning about finances, stock investing, buying real estate, getting in government contracting. There's parameters around that, and that's how you learn how to do it. Well, today we're going to be learning about how to become an effective communicating parent to our children, so our children will not fail out here in society. So I'm looking forward to this conversation today. Again, if you're watching this on replay or if it's your first time here, I do appreciate you. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You share this information out. But if it's your first time meeting me, I'm Dr. Travis Davis. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. Been doing government contracting now a little over 11 years. And it's a passion of mine, teaching the community about what it is that I do to generate revenue for myself, but most importantly, gain my time back. And there's a lot of information that I haven't learned, but as I find it, because I do have my time, I like to share it with my community so you guys can become better too. It takes a whole army out here to get us right. So I'm trying my hardest to support that mission and bring you guys quality people. And you know how it is if it's your first time or if it's your second, third, fourth time, we want to hear from you. Make sure that you're putting your contact information down there in the chat, whether you're watching this on replay or you're watching it live. Let us know what industry you're in, what it is that you do, so other people can network with you. But without further ado, this is going to be a little different today. Again, it's not going to be harping on the government contracting side of things. But again, we're going to be talking about the kids. I mean, the kids are everything. They're like the next generation here. And we need to pour into them. And it's important, again, that we're learning how to do this effectively, right? Not just freestyling. Freestyling messes things up. So I want to bring in our special guest for today because this information, I mean, it's going to blow your mind. At least it blew mine. So I think it'll blow yours too. Because, again, we just don't know this information. But before we bring her in here, I want to know whether you're on YouTube or you're on Clubhouse. What I want you to do is I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you have children and a 2 in the chat if you do not have children. That's a way that, we're able to figure out who is in the room. We got to know who we're talking to here so we can guide this thing. But I'm hoping that we got a lot of parents here. Got my first kid on the way. I see Destiny. Congratulations. Hopefully you're having a healthy, successful pregnancy there. We want to see some pictures when the baby come out too. Don't be holding out. Tag me in the pictures when the little one is born. I love seeing the little ones. What we got here? We got Florida Star. I'm blessing. Appreciate you. Thanks, my brother. I appreciate you as well for tapping in with us. Who we got here? S. James. My first kid is due today. Wow. That's amazing right there. Congratulations to you. I hope that the little one's not being stubborn and comes on out today for you. But it is great that you're here today so you can learn about this information. I see we got Romario, is a parent out here. Valerie's a parent out here. I appreciate it. Got a couple people on Clubhouse that are parents, and we got one that's not a parent. We see we got Chantrice here. Oh, two girls, 5-year-old and an 8-month old. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing like those blessed. So we got some parents out here today. So this is gonna be some important information for you guys. Again, make sure you're tapping into this. And I know y'all know some more parents. Okay, so share this information out because this is gonna be extremely valuable to all of the parents out there. But without further ado, let me bring in the guest right here. We got Miss Bolanle here with the owner of U&I Rise. She has something amazing going on that she's orchestrated here to help us upcoming parents and parents already learn how to do this thing a little bit better, as she's been a parent for quite a while now. And she actually took her own tips, tricks, and techniques and incorporated it into her own family. And she has some amazing children. And we'll hear about that a little later on. But without further ado, Bolanle, would you mind introducing yourself? Let the people know who you are, where you're from, what's the name of your business, and what is it that you do?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody, and thank you, Travis, once again for this opportunity to present to your platform. My name is Bolanle Ambonisye, and as Travis mentioned, I am a parent. I'm a grateful parent of four, and my children are grown now, which allows me the opportunity to do this work. I had an adult education and training company called U&I Rise. And U&I Rise is what I say about it is that we solve Black American problems at school, work, and in the community. I have a foundation in African centered education that was gained by it was quite random, a few random acts that ended up me being in the place where I was able to do what I originally intended to do, that I knew that I was going to be doing as a child. As a child, I knew I was going to be a teacher because I had the ability to show somebody how to do something. If I knew how to do it, I could teach a person. And I got all the way up into the 8th grade and said, I'm not going to be a teacher because I had got experienced culture shock. I had moved from, out of military ran schools into a public school here in St. Louis. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is chaos. And I said that in the 8th grade. That was way back in 1980.
And I said the same thing like that when I was in grade school too.
Indeed. A lot of people go through that. Like if you in a structured learning environment and then you are in a urban public school setting, and that's no slam to urban public schools. I'm just saying when you make a change like that, there is a culture shock. Mm-hmm. And I decided I was going to homeschool. Whenever I became a parent, I was going to homeschool. And so fast forward to me being 23 or 24 years old, I had my first child, and I had begun doing some homeschooling things with her when I ran into this fundraiser for an independent African-centered school here in St. Louis. I was already on the path to learning about African history and our experience as Black people in this country. And, what I was learning was helping to explain why we're in the condition that we're in as Black people, with condition of our families, the condition of our communities, and just growing a real appreciation and love for us and our stuff. And so I found out that there was an independent African-centered school, and I was like, oh, great. And so I went to the fundraiser, and I met these two beautiful children who ended up being the parents of the founders of the school. And they told me that they have a class for anybody who enrolls their child at their school. And so I just took the class because I just wanted to see what the class was about. I wasn't necessarily thinking about enrolling, but I was considering it because, like I said, I already had my plan to homeschool my child.
Right.
But that experience, it was 12 Fridays in a row. Okay, Friday evenings at that.
You're a special
And
person. Most people wouldn't turn their Fridays into getting educated. You decided to do a little something different there.
exactly. But when you're a young parent and your children are young, you don't really have a lot of options.
I
So they had
understand that.
childcare. So I was able to go. And that experience pretty much put me on the path that I'm on right now, because the information that I gained over those 12 weeks about what education actually is, and our role as parents, what our role is in our children's educational process, and just the power that we have as parents that completely influences our children's view of themselves and view of other people, and how we as parents influence how our children think of themselves and treat themselves, as well as how our children think of other people and treat other people. We parents are the ones directing that. Once I, became in, I was given that information, and I was able to, because my children were young, I was able to incorporate it pretty easily because they were young. And now 4 children later, and all of these, well, they're grown now, and I'm a grandmother of 2 granddaughters now, and I'm completely confident about my children's ability to raise their children. you know um,
I,
One
I,
of the
I,
things I learned is that
I want to
we
ask you real
raise.
quick, Bolanle. Did you homeschool all of your children?
I I homeschooled. I started homeschooling my first daughter, my oldest daughter, and then I did end up enrolling in the African Centered School. I ended up enrolling her, and then because I guess I was experiencing some separation anxiety, because I didn't really want to drop her off and leave. She was 4 years old at the time, and I told them, "Hey, I will stick around, I would clean, I would scrub toilets, whatever, And the thing that happened was they were able to teach her to read right away, get because of the things that I had begun to do with her. And so they asked me to teach. So I ended up teaching at that school. we I taught the 4, 5, and 6 year olds beginning reading, beginning math, just beginning academics, period. 4 to 6 year olds. And I taught there for 11 years. And like I said, the information that I gained in that 12-week course, together with my experience teaching there for 11 years, have put me on this path that I'm now on regarding adult education. And the foundation of the adult education is parent education, because we don't realize how important we are. And it's understandable that we don't realize it, because this society does not have a process that equips its people to be effective parents. This society doesn't have a process that makes us aware, that makes its citizens aware of the power of parents. And and
I want to stop you right there for a second, because I think you're hitting on a subject that we may overlook. I know the more I talk to you, the more I start to realize of looking at how I came up as a child, and talking to my peers around me of how they're raising their children. Everybody's freestyling. My parents freestyled how they raised me and my brother, or two different ways completely. My brother's 5 years older than me, so they learn new things as he was born because he's the first one, and then they try to do things a little differently, freestyling it with me again with this thing called parenthood. And as I listen to my peers, what everybody tells me, like, you can't be prepared for parenthood. You just got to do it, and you'll figure it out as you go. But you're saying something a little different here. That if we have preparation to get that engineering job, if we have preparation to become that accountant, if we have preparation of how you should invest and do all of these things in life, well, why can't you have preparation to becoming a better parent? And I think that is extremely important. And not only that, you're doing it from a person that looks like us, right? You're not saying, hey, I want to help all of the parents out here. You're saying, no, this is for Black parents. This
is for Black parents.
Yes. It's directly for Black parents. You know the Black experience. And I want to ask you that. Why did you make this strictly for Black parents? What was the reasoning behind that?
I'm happy you asked. The reason is because we as Black people, especially in America, we have a unique set of conditions. We have a unique experience in this country that over the generations have the different conditions and the all the racism, oppression, the different things. Now we talk about enslavement, but after enslavement, there's Jim Crow, there's the Black codes and the peonage where you throw us in jail for any reason, and there's the I'll bring it up a little more current to talking about segregation, separate but unequal, stealing of patents, not allowing us to be able to grow to the fullest, burning of our towns, all of these different traumatic things that have happened to us as Black people. Yet we still, how did Dr. DeGruy put it? I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Joy DeGruy. She is a social scientist, and she coined the phrase post-traumatic slave syndrome, talking about our condition as Black people. She says that we are profoundly resilient people because we have been able to accomplish all manner of things despite having gone through all of these traumas and collective traumas, and still being able to produce on the level that we have. And we are profoundly resilient people. Yet, for us to say that, it does not acknowledge the understandable negative impacts of the things that we have experienced in this country. Okay. And part of what that looks like is also, okay, so I just got through saying that this society does not have a process that equips its people to be effective parents. I'm talking about just in America. There's no process in America that routinely equips its citizens with the information and tools that they need to provide a home environment that grows their children into mature, responsible people who advance the community with their talents, skills, and creativity, and their families and communities with their talents, skills, and creativity, and then raise their children to do the same thing. This society does not have a process to do that. And so then it stands to reason that they don't have that for us.
Yep.
Given the experience that we've had in this country and the need that we have to heal from these things, because they continue to cycle into in our families. The what do they call it? These different negative cycles in our family. That we talk about, the alcoholism, the drug use, the abuse, and stuff like that. These are things that are like negative legacies that we continue to perpetuate in our communities, just because we don't have a process to interrupt it.
Come on now. And I hear when you saying that, um, I like to call like the data, the statistics that they put in front of our face. And I try to argue with people about that all the time. I mean, yes, data is real, statistics is real, but you don't have to live up to that data that you're reading right there. Like,
Right.
yes, you can read it. That's like, to me, it's saying, hey, you should watch out for this. Like,
Yes.
you should go learn some new information so you don't head down what they've been feeding us all of our life, saying, hey, majority of the black people have diabetes. Well, work out.
Right.
You can
Eat
avoid
better. Yes.
diabetes by eating a little better and making sure that you're doing a little physical activity each and every day. So I would imagine the same thing would come with how we're raising our children when they're talking about the statistics of, the children that can't read and the children that aren't graduating. We don't have to live up to that data. We can make a change, and it takes just learning some new information that you probably couldn't get from your parents because your parents didn't know it. And the reason
Exactly.
your parents didn't know it is because their parents didn't
Their
know it.
parents didn't know it.
And
That's right.
somebody's got to interrupt this thing. And what you're saying, if I'm correct, is that, your program is built to interrupt this data that's been feeding to our communities in front of our faces, saying, hey, this is how you guys got to operate. But you're saying, hey, no, that ain't how we about to operate no more. I got some parameters around this thing, and it starts with the parent communicating with the child so we can have a more effective lifestyle as we're moving forward. Does that sound about right, Bolanle?
It sounds absolutely right. And the thing that I would add to that is about um, uh, yes, absolutely communicating with our children. I'm going to share a few questions in a couple of minutes about some questions to ask, but also getting a sense of our own power as parents, because we don't realize that we are teaching our children with everything we say and everything we do. You know, let me share something. There is an overarching responsibility that we as parents have to our children. A lot of people don't think about that if I'm a parent, and I am, I have a duty to my children.
Mm-hmm.
And that duty is to help them discover their purpose. I learned that through my experience in African centered education. I didn't know that prior to. I was freestyling it and winging it, you know. But once I came into that information, it really helped me to focus, and whenever I share this information with parents, it's something that most parents say that they never heard of or never considered, but it it makes sense.
Yeah, I want to pause you there because I firmly believe in that too. And people often ask, Travis, well, why are you up late working so hard? You generate this revenue, but yet I see you working damn near around the clock. And I try to explain to them it's because, I don't have children right now. Because in my mind, before I met you and learned about these parameters that I could do, I just had in my mind that, when I do have children, they got to be able to have my time. And I have to feed into them as much as I possibly can because I don't want to say my life is over, but I mean, I brought them into this world. It's my responsibility to protect them, take care of them, and allow them to figure out their life. And I need to have the financing and I need to have the time behind me in order to make that happen. So I'm happy to hear that you say, hey, it's the responsibility of these parents to allow their children to explore, figure out who they are. Because I've heard a lot from my generation, when they're having children, they're still thinking about themselves. Like they're still thinking about, I need to figure out my life. I need this break. Let me put the kids over here with their grandparents because I need to take this trip. and get some clarity about who I am and X, Y, and Z. So, how do you think about that when we do have this generation of parents who are out here still, trying to figure their life out, but they have these little ones right here who are looking up to them and looking towards them for direction. What's your thoughts on that?
The the parent's overarching responsibility is to help the child to discover their purpose. When parents hear that, the most often response is, well, gee, I don't know my purpose. How can I help my child discover theirs? And that is completely understandable because, again, this society doesn't have that process that equips its people, and our parents didn't know this and all of that. It is my personal belief with every fiber of my being that, and it's also my experience, that when a parent does not know their purpose, but they have children, then they'll be able to discover their purpose as they go through the steps of guiding their children to discover theirs. Okay. And because I was a parent at 21. I had two children by the time I was 25, and then I had the twins at 28. And I was in the African centered school, I was teaching it. I knew that I had a great deal of fulfillment being there in the African centered space, working with children. And I found my purpose there. My purpose is working with parents, because I halfway through that process, I discovered some disturbing trends, that parents were coming to me saying stuff like, you know what? Last night we were at home and little Johnny was acting a fool. And I told him, if you don't straighten up, I'm going to tell Mama Bolanle. And he straightened right up, and this is just me thinking, and I'm like, that's backwards. I'm supposed to be in the classroom telling little Johnny, if you don't straighten up, I'm going to tell your mom, or I'm going to tell your dad, and I noticed that we as parents were giving our power away and expecting more from the other people who care for our children, and that was the first disturbing trend I noticed. The second disturbing trend was that, I told you I taught the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds beginning, writing, reading, and that kind of thing. So the work is pretty simple. You give you a piece of paper, you just trace the lines there because it helps you with your writing, learn and write, and that kind of thing. And to be able to recognize letters and whatnot, and counting. And they would come back to school without their homework done. And I would ask Mom, Dad, why isn't the homework done? And they're like, oh, I can't get them to do anything. I just can't, and that was disturbing because this child is 4 years old and 5. What's going to happen when they're 10? What's going to happen when they're 14? What's going to happen? It didn't set a positive tone, and so I ended up writing a book, a very quick, easy reading book about the one thing that we can do as parents that dramatically improves our effectiveness. This one thing, it dramatically improves our effectiveness as parents. It makes life easier for our child. It makes life easier for us. It makes life easier for anybody who has to deal with our children in school or after school and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. One thing. Would you like to know what that one thing is?
Let us know what it is. Let us know.
That one thing is to teach our child to obey us. Meaning.
So what do you? I'm about to say. What do you mean? Because when you say teach our child to obey us, I know my mother had a fear in me that she may beat my tail if I ain't listening, things like that. Is that what you mean by obey us, or what is obey?
Those are tools and tactics that can be used to get our children's attention so that they do listen to us and do obey us, meaning carry out our instructions. obey simply means to do what one is told when one is told. I know sometimes people have a negative association with the word obey. We think about it, especially as Black people, we think about it as, like as part of American enslavement of African people, of Black people,
Yes.
and so there's a negative association with the word. But I'm talking about just the basic word, and I can't find another. I can't find another word to replace it. So I'm using this unpopular word, obey, in the dictionary definition sense of doing what is told when you're told. So, yes, we want our children to be critical thinkers, and we want them, uh, to be able to ask questions and stuff like that. But there are times when we simply need them to do what we're asking, like come here, or pick that up, or put it back, or be quiet, stuff like that. And so, if we get our children in the habit of following our instructions, obeying us when we say it, then we will go a long way toward basically helping them to succeed in life, in school and in life.
Now, I want to stop you there because you taught us a lesson that we can do in order to find out how much control, because I like to test things. I like to do things and be able to have some type of result that I can measure my actions against. And you taught us a very simple method that you can actually test this theory out that you're saying, that you can measure how effective your obeying skills are. Do you mind sharing what that technique is?
Sure, sure. When you're next time you're with your child, just in a relaxed setting, just ask your child, give them an instruction and see how many times you have to repeat yourself before they do it.
Mm.
You know, um, the first time, wonderful. The second time, that means our voice is 50% effective. If we have to tell our children three times, then that means we're 33% effective. If we have to say it four times, we're 25% effective. Five times, 20% effective. You see, using the math to do that. The more times we have to repeat ourselves, the less effective our voice becomes.
Come on now.
Which can be counterintuitive to parents, because we think that we're doing our children a favor by reminding them and then telling them again and telling them again and repeating ourselves and saying it again. We think we're doing them a favor, but we're not. We're actually training them to ignore us, and we're also raising our own blood pressure because it's frustrating to do that, and we need to tell the truth about that. It's frustrating,
Oh, I'm with you right there. I could only imagine if I was to have children, I got to keep repeating myself. It would drive me insane. I do want to say what's up to a couple people we got here. I see my man Florida Star here. You get Florida Star said, "I got 3 kids and a vasectomy." Come on, brother. I know you want to have at least one more. Come on, you might as well go for the 5. Just go for the 5. Nah, but I appreciate you being in here. I seen Centrice. I definitely want to put this message up here because this is it's like the reason why I brought Bolanle here to talk with us about this today. Because yes, I teach you guys about government contracting and how to make money, but I'm telling you this, I want to say probably about 85, if not 90% of my mentors, and this is why I've been so gung ho of trying to figure this thing out. They don't have good relationships with their children, and it's and I don't want to get into the argument of the wife staying at home and not working and whatnot, because I believe that takes the man out of the house all day producing revenue, and this is a team effort here, and I want you guys to generate more money faster simply for the fact that I need you to be there for your children. Like we got to stop asking the teachers to raise our children. in society to raise our children, because that's what's happening when you're not around. Just FYI,
That's
like
right.
they're picking this information up from somebody, and then they're still coming home and learning your techniques of not listening to them and not paying them any attention. So it's a lot that goes on here, and I appreciate you, Santrice, for sharing that right here, because it is. It's, we make the money for our babies. At least I would think that's the purpose of why you're trying to make your money. So I appreciate you for sharing that, being here, taking in this information today. Now, Bolanle has something amazing that she has created for us. I want to see if I can pull this up right here. I want you to talk a little bit more about the program that you have created for us. We're gonna dive in and ask you some questions about this here. But would you mind telling us about the 5 day challenge that you have going on, that you've created to start helping these parents out here getting a little bit more educated on how to be a parent?
Sure, sure. There's a 5 day parent on purpose challenge. The goal for the challenge is to equip ourselves with Black parenting basics that strengthen our relationships with our children, that helps our children to better thrive in school and in life. And it helps us as parents to meet our own personal and professional goals. Okay. That's the purpose of it. It begins Monday, this coming Monday. It's 5 days, Monday through Friday, and 7 p.m. Eastern. The okay, thank you for sharing that. To
Oh yeah,
share
we
the
got it up. We got it up. And guys, by the way, you can go to blackparentsontop.com. Get yourself registered. Sorry, it's up here. By the way, guys, also when you do go to blackparentsontop.com, you guys will see right here, and we're going to talk about this a little more today. You'll see a link right here, the 5 ways that we teach our children to fail. You can actually click this, download this PDF, and I mean, this PDF is amazing. I've read it. She already talked about one of the ways. I do want you to talk about another one of the ways that we do teach our children to fail here in a second. But this PDF that you guys will access, it actually has different scenarios in there that you can read. It'll give you examples with solutions. And again, this is amazing information that you want to take advantage of. But hey, once you get this, right, you're still going to need somebody to talk to, right? Like, this is new information. Nobody has ever taught you how to parent. So you can't just read some stuff and think that you're going to just, be the guru of it overnight because you have a PDF. That's not how that works. You actually have to be with someone who's doing this on a day-to-day basis. And Bolanle has raised 4 children effectively, and now we got some grandchildren out here who are becoming great, amazing citizens here. So it is effective work that's happening in her own household, let alone that she's actually teaching this information with the state, the government. The government has accepted this training that she has. It's just in St. Louis though. So that's why we want to, get it to the internet, because we can't just have this information right there in St. Louis in that urban community, because we need help. We need help all across the United States. So it's important that you guys visit blackparentsontop.com. Get registered for this. Go ahead, Bilal.
Oh, okay. I wanted to say something. So I appreciate you for talking about the PDF, 5 ways we teach our children to fail. The reason why it's called that is because of a problem that we face that I'm not sure that parents know about. I'm pretty sure Black parents don't know about this. And that is that half of Black children nationwide are reading below their grade level. That is, let me see. Before the pandemic in 2019, the statistic was 47% of Black children reading below their grade level. Now, since the pandemic, it's been widely reported about the learning loss that has occurred, and the how badly the online learning went. And so that's why we know that it's more than half of Black children failing nationwide now. But even before the pandemic, this was still a really bad issue, and it still is in places like St. Louis, where I live. There's a sizable number. The St. Louis Public Schools is majority Black, and um, the statistic district wide in areas where there are majority Black students, the figures are closer to 70 to 90% of children in that district read below the grade level. I do work personally with the school where 92% of the children in the school read below the grade level. And if you don't know your child's grade level, find out. Find out your child's grade level. And you know what? I have a list of a few other questions that that I highly encourage. I was getting ready to say challenge parents to ask their children, just to so that we can get an understanding of it basically to get a snapshot of our relationship with our children. But let's talk about this 5-day challenge. And then after that, then I'll share the question, because you got it up there. So let me not take it off too badly.
Yeah, I was just about to say, look, you don't have to sugarcoat to my audience. I yell at them all the time. I don't beat around the bush. They know I'm a real straight shooter. So you could just tell it how it is to this audience right here. They get it. They all right with it. But let's dive down into this 5-day challenge that you have here. I want to talk about what you're going to be providing. So if you let's talk about day one. What will they be going through on a day one to learn?
Indeed. Thank you. Day one, it really has to do with our current condition. And I already shared the parent's overarching responsibility to the child. We'll delve deeper into that and what that means and what that requires of us. We're looking at the U&I Rise relationship and productivity model, which is a suggested model for us as parents that will, if we implement it, then it it does so much for strengthening our relationships with our children, and strengthening and you know creating just a really solid foundation for communication and um, teaching and learning, because as parents we really are teaching our children with everything we say and do. And it helps us to do this teaching on purpose, because we're already teaching our children with everything we say and do. So this gives us a framework for being able to do that teaching that we're already doing, do it on purpose.
Okay,
So
that's
for
what I'm
day
talking about. What are we going to be coming through with day two? So day one, we learned. Hey, I love that. That's how you're starting out with day one. So I can only imagine it's got to keep getting better and better. So what's happening on day two?
Thank you. Oh, day two is healthy school home connection. That deals specifically with the conditions in our schools and our classrooms, and going through the course helps us to establish stronger ties between the adults involved in the educational process. It strengthens the relationship between school and home, between the parents and the teachers, the adults, because we're the ones responsible for providing the environment that our children need in order to thrive in school. But because, as the adults, because we are not in agreement and on the same page, then we've left this gap that our children are falling through. Again, more than half of Black children nationwide are reading below their grade level. And if you check, please do yourself a favor and check your child's reading level and see what that is. And if you're one of the 15% of children who are reading on and above their grade level, then that's fantastic. But the rest of our children are reading below. So it's like half, like the 2019 statistics said 47% of Black children reading below the grade level, 39% were barely getting by, 14% were considered good readers, and 1% were just knocking it out of the park. That's Black children nationwide. Okay, so I'm only pointing to this um, thing about reading as an indication of how we're doing as adults when it comes to providing what Black children need to thrive. Now, I could talk about other things. I could talk about the increasing violence in schools. I can talk about the conditions of our neighborhoods and, the fact that our children get involved in so many things that we're not even aware of, but stuff happens, vandalism and theft and damaging property and all of that stuff, things that, and even if our children don't do those things, they're dealing with some heavy stuff, depression and being bullied and bullying and stuff like that. And we as parents, we don't know what our children are doing, and that's why I have this list of questions that I'd like to share as soon as we go through this.
Yeah, and I think that's important that you're saying that there, and it's a lot of stuff that we could talk about, but it's no need to overwhelm yourself with everything. Just look at the small thing like reading, right? We don't have
That's
to
right.
get ourselves emotionally involved in the violence and the things that we already know about. It's pushed in front of
Yes.
our face all day long on the news, but
Yes.
something as small as reading, which is extremely important. Like
It is.
if you can't read, you can't do anything else. Like it's a whole lot of things that can't happen without reading. And I see that we had Amber here who made a comment that said, the reading statistic is getting a lot worse. And I just want to remind everybody this is a national statistic of what she's saying, but I'm pretty sure in your backyard the statistics are worse because national has to take on statistics from every state all around the world. But
That's right.
your state is probably way worse than what this statistic is being said. And again, this is why it's important that we figure this out. And Amber also stated, guys, like there's sites out here that you guys can go to figure out, what is your child's reading level. You again, we're not in the business of making excuses, right? So we know we need to figure out what reading level our child is on, which is very important for us to understand more information. So when you do get a part of this challenge, this is some information that you're going to find out. And day 2, I really like that. To me, from what you're saying is, hey, we ain't gonna keep blaming these other adults of why our children are the way that they are. Like we're not gonna say, hey, it's the teacher's fault, it's the principal's fault or whatnot, that they should be raising and teaching our kids another way. We're gonna help you take responsibility and communicate with these other adults to figure out how you need to set up this home environment to make your child's learning area more effective instead of just putting blame on others. So I'm loving this right here. So what's going to happen in day 3? I mean, day 1, day 2 is lit up. What is about to go on in day 3?
Day three, we delve deep into our power as parents, where it talks about the line between adults and children. Have you noticed that the line is erasing between adults and children? I'll give you a couple of examples of that. Uh, Children being more disrespectful, um, increasing conflict between parents and their children, and between students and teachers. Because the line between adults and children the line is erasing. Now, I'm not saying that there is. What I am saying is there is a line between adults and children. What I'm not saying is that adults are more important than children. I'm saying that one is responsible for the other.
Mm.
Okay. And it's for that reason that children and adults are not peers. And this society is erasing the line between adults and children, and it's negatively impacting children because we adults are treating them as if they are adults, meaning we're not teaching them, but we're punishing them for what they don't know. For example,
Hold on, Bolanle. Did you just say that our children are not our peers? Is that what you just said?
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying children are not peers to adults.
Man, I hope my generation is listening because I know for a fact I've watched my generation post on social media that this my best friend right here. My little girl's my best friend. We like mother sister situation, and I'm like, I don't know how that could be. I mean, who's the authority figure over here? But I'm glad you're saying that. Sorry to interrupt you. You can keep going on.
No problem. No problem. We look at that line and how who's erasing the line and the ways the lines are being erased. Um, then, of course, we look at the most important strategy, and I shared that most important strategy, but we go into detail about how to implement obedience at home in a way that actually strengthens the relationship. Okay, and does all those things that we said, creates a foundation for our children's academic and life success, makes life easier for us and for them, and for anybody else who has to deal with our children.
Okay,
Dave, go ahead.
we getting heated up out here again, guys. We're talking about the 5 day challenge up here. You can go visit blackparentsontop.com. Get registered for this 5 day challenge right here. We went through day 1 through 3 so far. This is a $99 investment, not into yourself, guys. You got to think about your children here, man. Your children are extremely important. They have to get educated better, and it's going to start with you as the parent. All of this is going to start with you and the parent. So yes, you're going to help your child's life get better, but you're going to help your life get a whole lot better too. So let's make this investment so we can become more effective parents out here, which is going to help us have better children out here. But let's get back to it because we got 2 more days left in this challenge. So what are we going to be getting in day 4?
In day 4, we looking at this is we really get into my favorite stuff down here in days 4 and 5. 11 basic life and relationship truths. We look at 11 truths in life that if our children know them, they'll behave a certain way. If our children don't know them, they'll behave a certain way. And it's an exercise that we complete that helps us to look at behavior differently instead of punishing for behavior. We still have the responsibility of teaching, so that includes teaching about negative behavior, so if our children are fighters, and I'm a fighter, so, I don't, I can understand it. And what I'm saying is it helps us to look at behavior differently and hearkening back to, I say hearkening, that's the last time I said that, but anyway, getting back to our overarching responsibility as parents to help them to discover their purpose. Even the negative habits that our children have can be funneled and channeled into a positive use. And I use fighting as an example because I see that in my own life. I used to fight a lot when I was little. And now it has matured into an eagerness and a willingness to deal with conflict. Everybody doesn't like dealing with conflict. But as a fighter, I'm not afraid of conflict. And I see the value in conflict. And if we use it correctly, it will actually strengthen our relationships. So, 11 basic life and relationship truths. We do that exercise to help us to look deeper at behavior and, attitudes and things of that nature, so that we can know what we need to teach our children. And the problem analysis chart allows us to dig deeper into things like what I just said about fighting, if it's, whatever negative behaviors that are regular problems with our child, we can use that chart to delve into that. Day 5, again, deals with conflict education, a way to look at conflict that actually strengthens our relationships, to know, we talk about the root cause of conflict. There's one underlying root cause of all conflict, and then we look at how we can use it to strengthen our relationships. And then, of course, we get into heavy stuff, sex education and mate selection,
Before you dive into that one,
Okay.
this is one that, as I read it, I've been thinking about it for the last couple days, and I want to ask the audience. I want you to put a one in the chat if your parents taught you about sex, or a two in the chat if it was anybody else but your parents. If it was your friends. Well, today's time they're looking at online videos, but put a two if it was your friend, somebody at school, society, just anybody else outside of your parents. Because I know for myself and for my friends, when I talk to them, our parents didn't teach us about sex. Sex wasn't a conversation that was being held inside of our household. So this is kind of different right here that you're saying, hey, I need you to talk to your children about sex. Like this is an interesting topic right here for day 5, and I think it's something that a lot of parents need to have this conversation as soon as they can. So if you don't mind, could you go ahead dive into this sex education? I think this is going to be a huge one right here on day 5. It might sound like it may take two days to do.
You know what? It is pretty, it does generate a great deal of discussion. And I'm still in the process of working that particular module. I mean, I have the basic module for it, but my daughter, one of my youngest daughter in particular, she told me that I need to flesh it out some more. And she's going to help me to do that, just to make it, to deal with it in its most, in its maximal way. So, but believe me, what we're doing here in this 5-day challenge is pretty pretty powerful. Again, reflecting back on our overarching responsibility to our children to help them to discover their purpose. That when we get to sex education and mate selection, it starts with knowledge of self, with helping our children to know their likes, their dislikes, even before you start interacting with other people, just so that you can know yourself enough to know what is good for you. Okay. And you'll know, once you know what is good for you, then the people you interact with, you'll be in a better position to know whether or not they are good for you. Okay. So we look at things like, okay, what are elements of a healthy relationship? What are elements of an unhealthy relationship? What do I want my children to know about relationships, healthy relationships, how to identify when you're not in a healthy relationship, what to do, um, what does boyfriend and girlfriend mean? What do boyfriends and girlfriends do? When do I want my children to have sex? When do I want them to be married? Stuff like that, because that helps us when we're in conversation with our children. And we can, no matter the age of the child, we can do that forward thinking, even when our child is young. And it helps us to begin having conversations with our young children about their bodies and about their feelings. Teaching bodily autonomy to a toddler is very, very important. That this is your body. These are all, knowing the names of all of your body parts, including the private parts, and to know that this is your body and nobody has a right to touch it. And if anybody touches you, this, what part is this? What part is that? Oh, this is my penis. Oh, this is my anus. This is my vagina. This is my, to know that if somebody touches you, that this is your part, this is your private part, and nobody is to touch it. If anybody touches it, what do you do? That kind of thing. So it sex education and mate selection, you see how it begins really young, when just being aware of yourself physically and emotionally, so that when you begin to interact with other people, you know what you're dealing with. Because, we make the mistake as parents. I'm sorry, I have to turn on this fan. Uh, we make the mistake of parents of placing unrealistic expectations on our children, saying things like, well, you better not like nobody. And you better leave them boys alone. You better leave them girls alone. And if you like somebody, you better not do nothing about it. And nobody has ever been able to escape that. We haven't done that. So it was in our best interest to be on the same team with our children as they go through this inevitable process. Just because we don't talk about it doesn't mean it will not happen.
Yeah, and I think that's important because I mean, sex is going to happen.
It's going to
Whether you
happen.
like it or not, it's definitely something that's going to happen. And there was another comment down here in the chat. Again, speaking about the parents not being in the household when they were getting raised to even have this type of conversation, and I think that's what that's the reason why we're here today, is because you don't even realize that because you didn't learn this information through your parents, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to teach this to your children because
That's
you didn't have anybody to have that conversation alone. Like we don't want to talk about penis and vagina and all of this stuff to our children. We even try to, if they say the words, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe that you just said that word can't come out of your mouth. But yet, that's a word that they heard. And if
right.
you're not educating them on what the definition is of that word, guess what? Society's going to educate them on what the definition is of that word. So we don't want to tell our kids, hey, don't use those words. Let's tell them what these words are so they can get an understanding of how to use them correctly. And that'll
Exactly.
start to change a lot of stuff up. So I do want to ask you, like, so what is the age range, or is there an age range that we should be utilizing these type of words to our children when it comes to sex education?
Well, when we're talking about body parts, that's whenever you're talking about body parts, because when you're washing yourself, you're taking a bath, you want to make sure you wash all of your body parts. Did you wash your shoulder, your ears, your belly button, did you wash your penis? Did you wash your anus? Did you wash, you know what I'm saying? Did you wash your butt? All of that, So it's something as simple as that. And that's, whenever that's communication, period. Whenever you're communicating, when you're able to communicate with your child, is when it starts. Because it's about making them aware of themselves first.
Come on, come on, man.
So, you mentioned about meanings of words and stuff, and I know you crack up about this story about my friend who was singing a song. I don't remember how old she was, but she was singing a song. She was singing Prince, "Darling Nikki," and her mom overheard her. Just, nah, nah, Nikki. Yes, you could say she was a sex fiend. Met her in a hotel lobby, masturbating with a magazine, and her mom was like, "Do you know what that word means? Masturbate?" And Antoinette was like, "Yeah, I know what masturbate means." And her mom whipped her. and it wasn't until, of course, Antoinette didn't understand why she was getting a whooping, and because she thought the word masturbate was to hold a magazine, because she was masturbating with a magazine, so she thought it was like a magazine, and you hold it over your eyes like this, and you're kind of drawing men to you, drawing men to you with your eyes. She was a master at baiting men to her, So that's what she thought it was. And so her mom didn't ask her any questions. She just whooped her. And it wasn't until later when Antoinette found out what masturbating really meant. And she was like, oh, oh. But even at that, if Antoinette knew it for real, is that really a reason to whoop the child? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
as
so
parents,
so do you got
sometimes go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Travis.
I just wanted to remind everybody, like, guys, this is important. Okay, this is important that we're getting registered for this challenge here, so we can become better, effective parents. And don't be selfish. Like, let your friend know that's a parent. I know you have a friend that's a parent. Let them know about what's going on, or maybe you got a family member that's a parent or expecting to be a parent. And we got some new parents hopefully here today coming out. But we have parents to the left of us, to the right of us at all times, and I can promise you that I will probably say 98% of the parents have no parameters. Like they have not been taught any type of parameters on how to be a parent at all. So we want to get this information into our community. So it's going to work with you spreading it. So you join it, okay, and then you tell somebody else to come along with you. So visit blackparentsontop.com. Get yourself registered. It's going to kick off this coming Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. If you do not, you're not able to make it at that time, it will be recorded. Okay, so you'll be able to watch this stuff for 30 days, so you don't have to worry about if I miss anything. And most importantly, there's going to be an open line of communication that not only can you talk with Bolanle during this challenge, but you get to talk to everybody else, right? All the other parents who are in there, so you guys can start bouncing off each other because, depending on where you are and what state you're in, you're seeing life at a different way. So we have to be around groups so we can hear all of these things that are coming off people's minds because your child's watching this stuff on the internet. They're watching people in other states and they're going to pick up this information. So it's best that they start picking it up from you. Pick it up from you first so you can educate them properly. So once again, Black Parents on Top, that's TOPP.com. Get registered. Do not miss out on this event. Now, Bolanle, I know you had some questions that we wanted to dive into. So without further ado, let's dive into those questions that you got there.
Indeed. The reason why I'm sharing these questions is because of what I said earlier about us as parents not really knowing what our children are doing or how they're feeling. And so these are some questions that we can ask these, and I'm challenging, but yeah, challenging us, humbly suggesting that you ask these questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, the first one, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to live? There are children who are dealing with depression, they're dealing with things that we have absolutely no idea about. So that's the first question. How much do you want to live on a scale of 1 to 10? One being not at all, 10 being, the highest. And then the follow-up question to that is why? Whatever the answer is, if it's a low number or if it's a high number, why? Because it gives them a chance to talk, about why their answer is what it is. And our job is to listen. Our job is not to, do anything else but listen. Okay. Second question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like being my child? And again, the follow-up question to that is why? And then then the next follow-up question to that one is, what are some reasons you don't like being my child? And just listen. Don't respond, just listen. Next question. Is anyone, including me, doing anything to you that you don't like or want? The next question. Is anybody, including me, saying anything to you that you don't like or want? Next one. Is anyone, including me, hurting you in any way?
Ooh,
Next one. What do you not want to tell me, but I need to know? And the last one that I have so far is there anything going on with your brothers or your sisters or your cousins or your friends that that they are afraid to share with their parents, but they need help with. They need adult help.
mm. So let me ask you this: should this be questions that you're asking like on a yearly basis? Because as you were just saying these questions out loud, I'm sitting here thinking like, I'm pretty sure my parents, if I would have even came close to remotely saying some of this stuff, they were like, "This is grown folks conversation." I've heard also, you a child, you can't have those type of emotions. You a child, you can't have those thoughts. All types of stuff of me being called a child that you're asking questions about that I know. Well, one, I know my parents would have never asked me those questions, but two, like those questions that you ask and why. I think that key part you said and why. I would have been too scared to give the real answer out of fear that I'm using adult words, adult conversations. But you're saying, hey, I want you to have this open form of communication with me, and I'm listening to you. And I'm not about to get upset about it or anything. I'm going to listen to you first so we can have this open form of communication and work through this. Is that right?
Yes, and that is an excellent way to begin the begin asking the questions by letting them know that, hey, I want to make sure that I set a tone for positive communication and open communication between us. I might not, I might not have been doing that, but I want you to know that that's what I'm trying to do. And so I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to listen to your answers. I'm not going to uh, punish you. You're not going to be in trouble for the answer. I need to know because of how important you are to me. You know, I may not have I may not have made you feel like you could talk to me about anything, about important subjects, about tough things. So I'm going to ask you these questions and I'm going to listen to you. Again, you're not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to punish you. I'm going to listen. Okay. And then, do you understand? Are you willing to do this with me? Okay, then let's go.
I love the conversation that we're having here. Again, I do appreciate you taking out your time to bring this information over to my community that we got here, my Pure Money Gang. Don't forget when we say gang is gathering and networking genuinely. And it's no point of making all this money, guys, if you're not going to effectively communicate with your children. Like, this is the whole reason why I want you guys to build wealth in government contracting, not for yourself. Yes, of course. I mean, I want you guys to make money and enjoy life. But when you get these children out here into this world, like, you need this money so you can have your time. But if you don't know how to communicate with your children, if you don't know how to sit down and have a genuine conversation with them and help them become better, you're doing a disservice to them. So again, I've brought a specialist here because I'm not the subject matter expert. I ain't got no children. And even if I did have children, I damn sure probably still wouldn't be the subject matter expert at this because I'm learning, and I'm glad that I now have some parameters that I can study from. So when I do have children and they're coming up to being the smart geniuses that they are, I can come back and tell you how I've learned this information, how I actually had some parameters around what it was that I was doing. And hopefully you can have your children right there too. So once again, I want you all to visit blackparentsontop.com. Remember, that's TOPP. Get registered. The challenge does kick off this coming Monday on the 29th. So you want to make sure that you're soaking up this information. It will be recorded just in case if you do miss it. You'll also have access to a private chat and Facebook. So if you have questions for Bolanle, or if you would like to communicate with the other people who are in the group, that's what the space is there for parents to come together, network together, motivate each other, get through these problems, man. Like we have to be able to get through these problems as a unit. It's not going to be an easy task either. So it the world has broken up the household, and they've done a very good job at it. So it's not going to be an easy task to get over this hump, this hurdle, but it does have to start with just one person, and you are that one person that it can start with, and then it can trickle down. That's the whole thing, right?
Can I jump in and say something
Go
about
ahead.
that? Because yes, it's not easy, especially because it comes down to us rearranging our priorities and our habits. But I tell you, what's more difficult is continuing on the road that we're on, because our children are showing us how well we're doing. You know, more than half of our children are failing in school,
Mm.
and they're failing. And so let's think about how that feels as a child who is failing. How does a child feel? And we have half of our children feeling this way. Okay. Um, Again, we could talk about the other things that our children are dealing with, especially having to do with social media accounts and everything being recorded and played for the world and all of that stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because it is uncomfortable to look at ourselves and to change habits and stuff like that. But what's more difficult is things staying the same and us seeing our children fall and fail and hurt each other and themselves and us hurt them. So yeah.
I appreciate the convo again, guys. If you guys would like to reach out to Bolanle after this, how could they go about finding you?
Oh, yes. My email is bolanle@uandirise.com. I don't know. Can I enter that some kind of way? How do I? Okay, so he's helping me out technologically on this platform. I'm not used to this platform. So is there somewhere that I can?
Matter of fact, I can put it in the comments here. Let me. What was that email address again?
It's Bolanle, my first name, BOLANLE at uandirise.com. Letter UAND, letter IRISE.com.
All right, I am putting that in the chat as we speak. And your social media for Instagram is your name.
It is my name, Bolanle Ambonisye.
They can reach out to you there as well. So I did put the email in the chat. Whether you're watching this on replay or you're watching live, you'll be able to have that to reach out to. Make sure that you are following her over there on Instagram as well, so you can stay updated with content and things of that nature that is going on. But again, I do appreciate you for taking out a little over an hour of your time to come speak here with the community. Did you have anything to close out with before we get out of here?
The only thing I want to share something that one of my teachers taught me, and that is when we're raising our children, we're also raising our grandchildren.
I don't know if y'all heard that. Matter of fact, can you explain what you mean when you say that?
Sure, absolutely. When we're raising our children, we're teaching them with everything that we say and do, even if we don't realize that, we're still teaching them with everything we say and do. Even when we don't feel like it, we're still teaching them. And what we're doing is setting the tone for how they're going to raise their children.
And I just want to, I'll leave my closing message with off what you just said there, because it immediately made me remember, why I'm doing this and why I'm working so hard. I woke up one day, it's probably about 22 maybe, um, and I got out of school. What was that? 19 or something of that nature. I forget the time frames. I had a lot of partying going on, but anyways, uh, I got out of school for about a year and a half, 2 years. I was going to work every day. And I remember telling myself something that when I have children, I'm not going to raise them the way that my parents raised me. And I think that we all
Yes.
probably say that at some point that we want to do things differently. We want to have everything for our children that we never had. And I was saying these things, but I woke up one day and I realized, Travis, you're not changing a damn thing. You're still exchanging all of your time for money. And if I stay on this pace, I'm going to be working all my life just like my parents were doing. And I said that I wanted change. And I realized I wasn't changing anything. And
Yes.
that's what made me get into the entrepreneurial journey, the business ownership journey, is for the simple fact that you know I can count on one hand the amount of football games that my mother was able to make because she had to get to work to provide food and shelter over my head. So I'm not knocking her for what she had to do because she didn't know any better, right?
Right.
She didn't have anybody else to learn this from. And when you say that you're raising your grandchildren based off how you raise your children, like I watch my older brother and how he's raising his children, and it's just like the same structure. It's
Mhm.
happening, and I'm the anomaly. I'm the one that woke up and said, "Hey, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be the change," and it gets frowned upon. It gets looked at differently, because
Yes.
again, nobody else is doing it. So I love that nugget that you left us off with there. You have to remember that the things that you are doing to your children, it's effectively going to create your grandchildren. And hopefully, one of them steps outside of the box. But the key is that you can make a change right now, right? You do not have to wait for life to just happen, right? Definitely with our kids, with our babies, man. We cannot just keep freestyling this thing called life when it comes down to our babies. So make sure that you guys are tapping in. BlackParentsOnTop.com. Get registered this Monday. It is kicking off. Bolanle, I appreciate you taking your time out to talk with us. I'm going to be looking forward to all of the amazing parents that you're going to be helping get educated and become better. But most importantly, teaching them how to effectively communicate with their children. At the end of the day, everybody's household is going to be different of how it operates. But one thing that can't be different is communicating with your children. We all need to communicate with our children 10 times better than what we're doing right now. I know
Amen.
somebody out there like, I already communicate with my children. You're not doing a good enough job. Trust me. Okay. You need to learn how to do this thing a little bit better. So tap in with a subject matter expert on this so you can learn how to effectively communicate with your children a lot better. Outside of that, Bolanle, again, I thank you for doing this for us and all that you're doing here for our community and for our babies out here. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Also, if you guys got any value out of this, okay, I want you guys to drop the fire emoji down there in the chat. Y'all know how we do. Go ahead and drop some fire down there. Let us know if you picked up any information that you learned from today. As well as I want to give a shout outs to all of the new parents. We had a couple people jumping on here. The new parent, hopefully today. I hope that you have a successful birth, and that you're healthy on the other end as well. But I love you all. I hope that you have an amazing week going forward, amazing weekend going forward. And we will talk with you later. Belanle, is that all that you had before we get out of here?
That is all I have. Thank you so very much. I want to thank you and thank everyone for being able to spend this time together. Thank you.
No problem at all. My audience a little tight today. They ain't following, putting no comments down there. I don't know what they got going on. Must be parents. That's cool. No, but
Hey.
anyways, I appreciate it. I'll talk with you later.
All right. Take care now.
Hey guys, as I always state, and I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us here and tapping in with us, learning this valuable information. Again, this is going to be something that all of us need. We all need this information with becoming more effective parents out here. So once again, make sure that you guys are visiting Black Parents on top.com. Remember, that's TOPP, and telling another parent out there so they can become more effective parents. Also, don't forget, I'm going to try at about 8 p.m. tonight to get on YouTube Live again, to go on the government contracting side, to talk about these student loans, right? To break down what the president has created. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, so that's why it's going to take a little bit later on for me this evening. So hopefully at 8 p.m., I'll be able to share this information with you all. So stay on the lookout for that. But again, what's most important? I know those student loans are hanging over our head, but before any of this gets done, before you can start making money with contracting and making your life better, you need to start with your children. You cannot have children out here in this world and you're not communicating with them. It's a plague in our community, man. Not talking with our children, not raising them. I mean, I'm here in the Washington D.C. area. I believe 3 kids just got murdered within the past 2 days. It's under 15 years old, and that's unacceptable. It comes down to our parents and to our community not talking to these kids, just allowing them to do their thing and blaming it on society and all of these other things. And it starts with us. We can't allow our kids to roam out here in these streets. So once again, blackparentsontop.com. It's of importance that we learn this information. Okay. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing all of you all there because I need to take it myself. I told y'all I'm not going to be raising my kids freestyling. All right. We ain't going to go out like that. We are going to learn how to effectively raise our children a right way, a way that has been working, that has been showing results. And I wanted to incorporate that into my lifestyle. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys over there. Outside of that, I love you all, man. I hope that you guys have an amazing weekend. Remember, just because the weekend's here, that don't mean that money stopped flowing. We still got to go generate this revenue out here so we can live this life that we supposed to be living. So don't stop because the weekend's here, partying with everybody. Instead, understand somebody is spending a lot of money today. This is the pre-Friday. Ain't that what they call it? The pre-Friday. And guess what? Tomorrow, people going to be spending even more money. Saturday, they going to spend money. And, they spend money on the Lord's Day, too, on Sunday. You guys heard it. Sunday fun day. They like to spend money. So that means that you really, truly have 7 days a week to generate revenue. There is no excuse of why you couldn't generate revenue. You need to make it happen right now, ASAP. And don't forget, when you generate that revenue, guys, don't just blow that money. Invest it in something like Black Parents on Top so you can educate yourself, so you can make yourself better and make your house better. I love you all, and I'll see you guys on here later on tonight, hopefully.
It's just different. Yeah, you already know what it is. Pure money, baby.